Hi, and welcome to our webinar. We're so excited to have you join us today as we dive into this incredible world of simulations in learning and development. We know you're busy, and so we've packed this webinar with real-world examples to show you the power and versatility of simulations. Throughout this session, we'll be showcasing 9 diverse projects, each leveraging a unique technology like virtual reality, WebXR, which we'll talk about in a little bit, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and more. We'll explore how these cutting-edge tools are being used to enhance learning, improve performance, and drive meaningful outcomes in various industries. Before we dive in, a quick word about SweetRush. For those of you who are new to our organization, we launched in 2001 and have been fully remote since 2009. We focus on performance improvement services, which embrace custom learning solutions, emerging technologies, staff augmentation, talent placement, and strategic consulting to help our clients develop their learning and development roadmap. We're honored to receive numerous industry awards for the solutions that we develop with our amazing client partners. So at SweetRush, we are firm believers in the power of a blended learning approach, recognizing that different modalities excel in different contexts. For knowledge acquisition and conceptual understanding, traditional methods such as e-learning modules, videos, and facilitated sessions remain highly effective. However, when the learning objective shifts towards more applied skills and experiential learning, that's when simulations become a really invaluable tool. So we leverage simulations when learners need to master multi-step processes, maybe complex procedures, or even navigate challenging scenarios. When real-world practice, rather, is risky, costly, or sometimes even impractical. And when learning requires experiencing consequences and truly understanding that cause and effect relationship. We've developed impactful simulations across a diverse range of use cases, from soft skills like communication and leadership to highly technical skills that require hands-on practice. And we'll be showcasing some of these examples in the demo section shortly.
So we're very passionate about immersive learning pedagogy, and we're always drawing on cognitive learning theory and learning science to inspire and frame our design process. In fact, we have a whole library of immersive learning strategies and features that we draw on. But we've selected 3 strategies here that we're using most often in designing XR training experiences. So the first one is embodied cognition. This involves physically or vocally practicing a skill or procedure via an avatar. Situational awareness. So this is developing an audio, visual, and spatial awareness of a 360-degree environment. And then 3D visualization. So this involves bridging the gap between abstract or 2D information and then 3D objects or realities or environments. So the first one we'll explore is embodied practice. Again, this is physically or vocally practicing a skill or procedure via an avatar. This strategy is based on the theory that the mind is not only connected to the body, but that the body actually influences the mind. So activating our sensory motor systems in a training experience actually activates cognitive processing. So we're not just brains in jars sitting there at our computer screen. We're more holistic and interconnected beings than that. So allowing learners to use their bodies and voices along with their minds actually enhances learning. Examples are things like an installation procedure that's physical and procedural, a medical procedure like maybe surgery or checking vitals, or physical work in a restaurant or hotel, which relates to the first project that we're going to share today. So this project was for Hilton. It was really exciting and groundbreaking, and we've done many projects for them since. They've become real huge fans of XR. It eliminated the expense and logistics of shadowing and training because it allowed learners to really learn by doing. And it also helped new hires build empathy for their colleagues using VR. So Hilton business executives, they may never actually have worked in a hotel, but they make decisions that affect their hospitality colleagues every day. So here they get to actually sweat the timer and build room trays, as you can see there in the left-hand GIF. In other modules, they're actually cleaning rooms, they're understanding the complexities of the front desk. And what's also interesting here is that these more immersive and embodied 3D simulations, a la embodied practice, were paired with live action 360 video of a hotel tour and also e-learning based scavenger hunts to round out the learner journey and match different modality experiences to the nature of each learning objective. So in our experience, VR is usually much more effective when it's situated in that kind of larger blended journey. Okay, next project.
Then in this case study, we partnered with a leading global manufacturer to really revitalize their safety training using the power of VR. Our solution involved developing a highly realistic VR simulation here that replicated their factory environment, complete with 360-degree digital twins of their facilities and interactive 3D models of their equipment. So learners can really interact with this virtual world, performing tasks, manipulating objects, and experiencing the consequences of their actions in a safe setting. The project really highlights how virtual reality can transform safety training from a passive, more compliance-driven activity into an engaging and impactful experience that drives real behavioral change and encourages a stronger safety culture as well. This next project here is one of my recent favorites because it sits so perfectly at the intersection of three very powerful technologies for learning: virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and voice recognition technology. So everyone is aware that AI agents are a new and very powerful tool in the L&D space, but there are a lot of challenges and nuances in getting it right. So here, in partnership with a global food and beverage company, we created this immersive conversation simulation where company leaders are able to practice their human-centric coaching skills. They're put through these dynamic training scenarios where learners use their own voices and their own words to engage in authentic back and forth dialogue with real-time animated avatars. So no multiple choice prompts, no canned responses, only a learner's instinctive response in the moment. An AI feedback tool then delivers highly personalized guidance tailored to each learner's intent, word choice, and their tone, because what you say is sometimes just as important as how you say it. And this is a true evolution of the branching simulation. And as an L&D professional, it really doesn't get much more exciting than this. So one of the key focus areas for our emerging technology team has been to make virtual reality training more accessible and practical for organizations. We've achieved this through WebXR technology, which allows us to create simulations that can be accessed on both desktop computers and VR headsets. So this dual modality delivery provides incredible flexibility and scalability. Learners with VR headsets can enjoy the fully immersive version of the experiences, while those without can still access the engaging training on their desktops. We've also developed an LMS integration tool that enables learners to launch these simulations directly from their organization's LMS. Ultimately, this technology allows us to create immersive and adaptive learning experiences that are scalable across the entire enterprise while catering to diverse needs and learning styles. We believe that this combination of technology really represents a significant step forward in making VR training more practical, accessible, and overall impactful for organizations of all sizes.
Okay, so the next strategy we'll explore is situational awareness. So this involves developing audio, visual, and spatial awareness of a 360-degree environment. So this strategy is best used, or it's based off the theory that knowing is inseparable from doing something in context. So situating learners, even if it's in simulated versions of their end social or cultural or physical context that they'll ultimately work in and perform in, activates their senses, heightens their attention and their situational awareness. So that in turn enhances learning and knowledge transfer. So examples include any type of sensorially charged situational training, like safety training for a factory or a construction site, hospital training, emergency or hazardous zone training, or flight and driving simulations, which relates to our next project. So this is a very dynamic and immersive safety training experience that we developed for a food delivery service. Learners are actually driving a virtual motorcycle. They have not 360, but 180-degree view. So they look around and they can have access to their periphery, and they identify risks on the fly. So this could be birds or pedestrians or road obstructions. They're conditioning their situational awareness around those sensory cues so they have an opportunity to actually react to those and mitigate those risks in real time. The experience featured some really beautiful animations and hyper-realistic visuals, and it went out to a global audience, but was actually also pretty personalized because learners had a chance to choose between a left-hand drive or a right-hand drive vehicle to better match their unique needs.
All right. In this next case study, this one focuses on a global organization that needed to effectively train its frontline leaders on crucial safety protocols and hazard identification. So in this simulation, frontline leaders are put to the test as they explore this 360-degree warehouse space and identify and address safety hazards, risks, and any unsafe acts that could put their teams in harm's way. SweetRush 3D technical artists designed this space based off of images and videos of a working warehouse facility, ensuring a highly realistic and relatable learning experience. As with many of our projects, the simulation component forms part of a blended learning journey, which includes e-learning modules and videos as well. Given the flexible and custom nature of our work, we can design these experiences as standalone components that can be directly integrated with an LMS, or they can be embedded within an articulate storyline course, depending on what makes the most sense for the learner journey and an organization's delivery goals. And this is really exciting to be able to see these really holistic experiences that go from knowledge-based objectives all the way through to these practical applications right within a course. And in this last case study that we'll show in this section, we partnered with a leading tire manufacturer to develop a cutting-edge web-based simulation for their third-party sales associates. This company has a robust library of training content covering various aspects of tire knowledge, sales techniques, and customer service. However, they recognized a need to really help their sales associates connect these individual skills and apply them in a holistic real-world context. So within this virtual tire store that you see here, learners can engage in a variety of activities that mirror their real-world tasks, such as interacting with virtual customer avatars to practice their selling skills, conducting thorough vehicle inspections, and even performing tire installations. What excites me most about this project is how it guides learners on a complete journey. Again, they start with that foundational knowledge, they then build upon it with individual skills, and finally in this simulation, they get to put it all together and experience the magic of seeing those skills come to life.
Okay, so the last strategy involves 3D visualization to bridge the gap between what might be abstract or 2D information and then actual 3D objects or realities or environments. So this strategy is based off the theory that knowledge, building knowledge occurs best through interacting with and creating things that are actually tangible and shareable. It's called constructionism. So there's that theory, but also more, of course, more obviously, we need 3D objects to understand 3D phenomena. So things like spatial relationships or 3D movements, just simply empowering the learner to see and interact with the thing itself. So examples might include an architectural model or a 3D product model or a physiological model for a nurse or practitioner, which relates to our next case study. So this was a very exciting project for us because most of our XR projects are accessed asynchronously, and this one was live and is a really perfect use case for VR on top of that. So the challenge was around finding an engaging way for physicians to practice electrocardiogram interpretation to better understand cardiac anatomy at their annual conference. So we developed a multi-user VR experience. So everyone in that room you can see in the picture is accessing that same experience of these dynamic visualizations of how electricity propagates through a volumetric 3D heart model. There was also a facilitator controlled 3D heart model, so that allowed for more guided exploration and discussion. And this was a real rapid development project. We developed it in 2 months, and we also provided on-site support at the event to make sure everything ran smoothly.
And now to showcase the power of augmented reality, let's explore another project that we created for our global tire manufacturer partner. We often take tires for granted, but they truly are technological marvels. They're carefully engineered with intricate layers and advanced compounds, to keep us safe on the road. And so to highlight these often unseen features, we created an interactive AR experience that brought their latest tire to life. It allowed customers and sales associates to explore its safety and performance features in a whole new way. So imagine a product poster displayed in tire dealerships. By scanning this poster with their mobile devices, users could activate an AR overlay that showcased a 3D model of the tire. They could then peel away its layers, revealing the details and technologies that contribute to its superior safety and performance. So a great use case for augmented reality there. And in this final case study that we'll show today, it's an augmented reality card game that we created for Hilton. And I think it's such a creative way to apply AR to more of a soft skills use case. The card game uses AR to help team members identify the right time to ask, "How is your stay?" and explore opportunities to make it right by using the HEART problem resolution model, which is Hilton's model. They also allow us to create opportunities to surprise and delight guests. So we can use the cards to choose the right response given the guests, what they're looking for in the moment. So using their mobile device or tablet, team members engage with the scenarios and they need to decide on the appropriate response given the guests' visual cues. The game progresses with team members making additional decisions based on their reactions to the questions and offering opportunities to resolve problems or, again, surprising and delighting the guest. So this AR card game demonstrates the versatility of immersive technologies. In addition to achieving its core learning objectives, it also served as a highly engaging activity at conferences or in-person training, encouraging collaboration and excitement among participants.
Okay, so this is a really exciting resource that we've been building called the Immersive Learning Design Library. It's an internal tool and just a SweetRush knowledge base that we use to support building XR and AI-driven experiences in just more research and evidence-based ways. So what we're doing is devising and cataloging immersive learning strategies like the three we just presented, and then mapping them to different types of learning and performance objectives or business use cases that come up when we're talking with clients. And then features are also in the library, and those are technologies and functionalities that support those strategies. So we'll show you an example on the next slide. You recognize the title of that strategy, Embodied Practice. That was the first one we talked about. This might be maybe an installation procedure, a maintenance procedure, something that's physical and procedural. And features to support those kinds of activities may be hand agency. So that's involving a greater manual flexibility, not just point and click with a mouse, but maybe allowing the learner to have agency with a haptic glove, for instance. Body tracking to track their posture and their position and their location, maybe for safety training or compliance. And then haptic feedback, maybe we have a whole language of buzzes on the hand controllers that have different meanings. So those aren't the only features that might support embodied practice, but they may be the right ones for this particular project scenario and safe installation situation.
All right, so in closing, let's recap some of the takeaways from today's session. We've explored a variety of simulation projects showcasing the versatility and impact of this powerful learning tool. So remember, simulations are most effective when learners need to master complex procedures or navigate challenging scenarios, when real-world practice is risky, costly, or impractical, and when learning requires experiencing consequences and understanding cause and effect relationships. We encourage you to consider how simulations can enhance your own L&D initiatives. And if you're ever looking for a partner to help you leverage the power of simulations, SweetRush is here to support you. We have the expertise and the passion to create engaging, effective, and innovative learning experiences that drive results. And that brings us to the end of our time today. Thank you for joining us. We hope this webinar has inspired you as you think about your own use cases. And with that, I'd love to open the floor for some questions. And if we don't get to yours, we do invite you to connect with us via LinkedIn or directly via email so that we can continue the conversation together. And with that, Avery, I'll hand over to you to feed us some questions.
Yeah, wonderful job. That was really, really great. Lots of kudos in the chat. And we have tons of questions, so we'll get right into it. Our first question here, what are some ways you are integrating AI into your simulations to enhance their effectiveness?
Yeah, sure. So one of the most common ways is through voice analysis and natural language processing technology. So Danny showed one of those with the coaching scenario. We're using AI to analyze sentiment and tone and word choice and learner intent, usually mapped to some sort of behavioral model that's supplied by the client. But right now, we're also developing a lot of different AIs that have different pedagogical purposes. So things like coaches that encourage reflection in the experience, evaluators, assimilators, which might assimilate knowledge from the group of learners or stakeholders involved, and maybe build connections between learners that have different or similar questions and problems that they're grappling with. Also, curators that curate learning pathways for more personalized learning pathways, often leveraging machine learning. So different pedagogical functions, and then we're also creating different levels of complexity for those different kind of products or functions so that we can really tailor the AI solution to each client's need. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for that. Okay, so many questions coming in. Let's get to the next one. Can you tell us about any other immersive learning strategies, even if just at a high level?
Sure. One that we often use commonly too is perspective taking. You saw a little bit of that, I think, with the Hilton project, that tray assembly activity. But this can be really great for any type of soft skills training or empathy training, just allowing the learner to get into the shoes or see the world from the perspective of maybe it's their customer or stakeholder or their employee to better understand their experience. And then one that we haven't used, but I'm excited about and we've started exploring with clients is just simply the spatialization of information in 360 degrees can actually enhance retention and can increase memorization. It's the activation of our vestibular systems and our sensory motor systems actually enhances memorization. So even just immersing a learner in an org chart or something like that might help them better memorize. It's related to the idea of the memory palace, which is maybe something that might be more familiar to people. And there's a few studies that came out in 2021 out of a few universities that support this strategy of spatialization of information that we're excited about, but haven't gotten the opportunity to use yet on a project.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. How many customers are requesting WebXR versions of their VR experiences?
I'm happy to take that one. So I would say that most clients are requesting the VR version as an add-on to their desktop simulations. So what's interesting about WebXR is that we only create one version of the project that is then accessible across both desktop computers and VR headsets. So there's no added work effort really in creating the VR version. It just makes it really easy to scale the experience across a wider audience while offering learners that device optionality.
Awesome. Can you talk a little bit about, are you able to create immersive experiences and then embed them into a more traditional course?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, given the custom nature of our work, we're pretty flexible when it comes to the output. So these simulations can be SCORM wrapped and then embedded as a component into more traditional authoring tools like Articulate Storyline or even Rise. And as I mentioned in the presentation, they can be also integrated directly with an LMS where learners can access them just like they would an e-learning module or a video, for example. So a lot of flexibility depending on what makes sense for the delivery of a particular course or program.
Awesome. Okay, we have one here. It says, love the realistic visuals. Have you used 360-degree photos instead of graphic-based visuals? And if so, why did you choose to use photos instead of the graphic-based?
Sure, I'm happy to take that one as well. It's a great question. And I think I think this is when it becomes really important to center your decisions around the learning objective at hand. So live action video or maybe 360 degrees photos, these are really powerful when creating realism and emotional connection because you're using real people in real places. So this is perfect when you need a grounded human context, but it can sometimes limit interactivity. So on the other hand, digital or computer generated environments offer incredible flexibility and interactivities because learners can manipulate objects and experience scenarios that might be impossible to film or take photographs of. So think of the machine safety example where learners could open valves, turn knobs, and see the consequences of their mistakes. That level of detailed interaction wouldn't be possible with live action video or a photo-based experience. But then again, if you're doing a day in the life of or a virtual tour of a hotel, that's when you might want live action video where we're using actual footage of a space or a 360-degree photo of a space. So again, I would just say that your learning objectives will help guide the design choices when it comes to those nuances.
Yeah, that's a great point. Awesome. Okay, we have a couple more minutes left. Why do these VR experiences work best in the context of more blended journeys?
I think I can take that one. There's a lot of research to support why VR increases engagement around subject areas and around content. But to really be effective for knowledge transfer and building skills, it really needs to be coupled with pre-trainings, things like a video or an e-learning or a reading that helps the learner cover core concepts or principles that eventually get enacted in VR more behaviorally. So, an example could be something like a complex surgical procedure that a learner is doing in VR. They first need to understand different anatomical structures or different surgical procedures. So, getting all those concepts and principles covered first, and then behaviorally, interactively, physically, enacting them through an activity is best. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Can you talk about if there's a difference between the regular VR and the WebXR, and if there is a difference, what those differences might be?
Yeah. Well, of course, with web VR, you're using a mouse to basically represent the head, the movement of the head. And then also, you're looking at a 2D screen, but in headset-based VR, you're using your body, you're moving your head around. So there's different types of metrics that can be tracked in the headset. You're using sensors, you've got eye tracking, you have object manipulation, you have hand agency. Different sensors are maybe connecting to the learner's heartbeat. So you're able to track different emotion. There's emotional tracking that's involved and physical tracking that you can't have with web VR. So what we do is when a client is interested in scaling over time, we'll help them with that roadmap and kind of map what are the learning objectives you're going to cover with the web VR and what could we later cover once you're able to deploy and invest in headsets for your workforce. Yeah.
Awesome. And then kind of going back into the headsets, we have time for one more question. What headsets would someone design or would you recommend?
So when it comes to WebXR, its flexibility allows it to run on a wide range of VR headsets, which gives learners more options. Popular choices include the MetaQuest and the Pico Neo because they offer a great balance for price and performance. Um, so WebXR, the way that it works is essentially a learner would access an experience using the VR headset's browser. So they don't necessarily have to have the application downloaded onto the headset, which you would in a more native VR application. And so that's why they can almost access it from any headset. For more advanced VR applications, the ones that Emily was speaking about a little earlier, we might recommend higher end headsets with specific features tailored to the learning objectives. But ultimately, we would work together with our clients to select the right headset that aligns with their needs, their budget, and their desired level of immersion for the experience.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. We're just about out of time. And so I just want to give you an opportunity to share any last remarks with the audience before I close this out for this session.
Just to say thank you so much for your time. I know we really powered through so many examples, so many different kinds of technologies. And so if we didn't get to your questions, we'd really love to connect. This is what we're super passionate about. And so even just to have a conversation with you to help brainstorm your use cases or answer any questions you have, we would very much enjoy and appreciate the time. So we do encourage and invite you to please reach out. And thank you again for having us.